Today in reading, we're going to continue the same task from yesterday. Our task is called We Just Got a Letter. I have sent back a draft to you. So the first thing we need to do is find our drafts together. Students will be able to find their task when they click on Activities. And then you will see a section with an orange check, and it will say In Progress. You need to select the orange In Progress over here, and then you will see the draft I sent back to you. Go ahead and do that now, please. When you open your task from yesterday and today, the first slide you will see is a brainstorm we did yesterday. Yesterday, we had a special guest on our Zoom who was a guest because he wanted to know all about our life in the colonies. So this week, we are pretending that we are like the Pilgrims, that we are like the settlers, and we live in the colonies. And our job this week is to write a letter back to our Uncle Thomas George, describing to him how life is going in the colonies. So in our letter, we received a letter from our uncle. He asked us 2 questions that we focused on yesterday. Number 1, how was the boat ride? We are going to go into a breakout room and we're going to share out your answers from yesterday. How was the boat ride? Can you describe it to somebody who wasn't there? What ideas can you use from the texts we have read and the videos we have watched? Our first job is going to be sharing about the boat ride. The first thing you need to do today is make sure you have a sentence written on your letter that answers how was the boat ride. So your letter might say something like, the boat ride was very long. There were storms. Lots of people got sick. Notice how I put more than one sentence. I want to tell my Uncle Thomas George as many details as I can about how life in the colonies is going. Because if you remember, Uncle Thomas George is trying to figure out what he needs to do to prepare for his journey over to the new colonies. So that's what we did yesterday. We answered question number 1. How was the boat ride? Next, yesterday, we talked about question number 2. Question number 2 asked about the shelter. Another word for shelter is our homes, where we live. Uncle Thomas George really wants to know, where are you guys living? What types of homes have you built? He asks us, what kinds of shelter have you created? We know that we have learned about the types of homes the colonists built. We have read in books on Mayan and seen videos that help us understand what their homes were like. So our next job is going to be in a breakout room. You're going to talk about question number 2. What kinds of shelter have you created? What types of homes did you build? In your breakout room, you have had a chance to talk with a partner about what types of homes or shelter we created. So I would like to hear from some of you. I would like to hear about the types of homes and shelters that the colonists have created and built in the colonies. I already see one hand raised, ready to share out. When you share with me, I'm going to type it here on our brainstorm page, and then I'll show you how I'm going to put it into my letter. So let's think about our question. What kinds of shelter have you created? Gloria, what can you share with us?
There's apartments.
The colonists built apartments. Where did we see that in a text or in a video? I don't remember that they built apartments. You might be thinking about our community, that we have apartments. All right, thanks for sharing. Let's think back to what life was like when the colonists came here and they built our community. What types of homes did they have? I see a post from Haley. Thank you, Haley. Haley says they were made of wood. So when we think about the types of shelters or homes they made, I know they made them with wood. What else do we know about their homes? Who else has an idea about the type of homes? Angela, go ahead.
They some people were hungry.
Okay, so some people were hungry. We talked about that yesterday, but Angela, let's really focus on this question about shelter, homes. Angela, do you know anything about the homes or the types of shelters the colonists made?
They filled it with wood and poles.
Oh, I remember that word. They used poles. Thanks, Angela, for adding to our knowledge of what types of homes the colonists had. They had poles, they had wood. How did they build these homes? Remember, there were no homes for them. They had to create them. That's why Uncle Thomas George asked, what type of shelter have you created? Remember, the colonists had to build all the homes. How did they do that? Nick, go ahead.
It was not comfy at all.
Oh, so maybe it was uncomfortable. Yeah, I think it was probably really different than the types of homes we have. They just had wood and poles. It's uncomfortable. Gloria, what would you like to share?
They also made caves.
They made what? I'm sorry?
They made caves in the soil.
Capes, like for their clothes?
No, caves.
Oh, maybe for part of it, they lived in caves. Yeah, we've talked about Native Americans who have lived in caves. Thanks, Gloria. I thought you said cape with a P. Yeah, sometimes if there was a cave with some rocks, they might stay there for a short time as they worked on building their homes. Okay, great thoughts. We now need to make sure we take these ideas and we put them into our letter so that we're answering our uncle. He asked us, what kinds of shelter have you created? I'm going to take my ideas from slide 2 and I'm going to turn them into sentences for my letter. So I know that they made it with wood, with poles, maybe they stayed in caves for a little bit, and that they were pretty uncomfortable. Okay, I'm going to write that in my letter to Uncle George Thomas. Okay, we have built We have built homes with wooden poles. We have built homes with wooden poles. I want to make sure I tell Uncle Thomas George as many details as I can because he's from England and he is used to homes that are already built. And he is planning to come over to the new country. He's planning to come over on a ship. And I want to make sure that he knows what type of house will be here when he gets here. We have built homes with wooden poles. When I got on Mayan, I chose this book and I found a section about homes. So I started looking for information about the type of shelter or homes. So I'm going to read some of it and we're going to listen for details about the type of shelter. Okay. Said some early colonists took over abandoned wigwams. Others tried to build their own. But English wigwams were not warm or weatherproof like Indian wigwams. The English structure had a door in one end and a fireplace in the other. Some settlers dug cellars about 6 or 7 feet into the ground for homes. Only the thatched roof showed above the ground. These houses were damp, dark, dirty. The earth helped keep colonists warm, but it also allowed bugs, mice, and snakes to skitter and slither in. After the first few years, colonists built houses of logs, bricks, or stone. Brick was a great choice because it was durable and colonists could make it themselves. Brick makers made bricks by combining water, clay, and sand and baking them over a hot fire. An early colonial home was usually about 20 by 20 feet in size. The walls were thin and had many cracks. The door was so small that visitors had to crouch to enter. There were no windows, so houses were dark. A fireplace provided a little heat and lots of smoke. Soot covered everything. Most houses had one main room called a hall where everyone gathered, ate, and slept. Sometimes there was a loft over the main room where the children slept. A lucky family owned a table and one chair. At night, they put mattresses stuffed with straw, grass, or corn husks on the floor as beds. So when I'm thinking about details about their homes, I'm wondering what else I can add to my letter to my Uncle Thomas George, who heard or read a detail that we should include so he knows what type of shelters we have. Who heard something or read something important about the type of shelters? Kaylee Cole, what did you hear about their homes?
I needed help finding a book.
Okay. You'll have to do that after when we're done with the lesson. I'll try to help you with that then, okay? Gloria, what did you hear or read about their types of homes?
That their door was small and visitors had to crouch.
The door is small. That's a detail he might need to know. Who else heard something in our text or read something in a text? All about the type of homes we are building as colonists. when we don't know an answer, we go back to the text and look for evidence. In my text, I notice that the text said most houses had one main room called a hall. That's pretty different than the types of homes I'm used to or that my Uncle Thomas George is probably used to. I think in my letter to him, I need to tell him that our homes only have one room. I'm going to go back to my letter. We only have one room. I'm going to add that detail to my letter. I think I'm also going to tell him that in the home, we have a fire so we can stay warm. We only have one room with a fireplace.
Miss Lorelei, no puedo hacer esto porque me falta la otra página para hacer.
Okay, thank you, Libby. We're on page 3. As Nick shared out, the walls are thin. I think my uncle would like to know that detail about the types of homes I've built. So I told him about the boat ride. And then I described what types of homes and shelters we've built. We said, we have built homes with wooden poles. The door is small. We only have one room with a fireplace. The walls are thin. Now I see a lot more details that my uncle really needs to know. If you have details that are different than mine, you can add them here to your letter. In order to complete today's task, you need to know that you can click on the View Instructions. And when you do that, you will see a blue link with some resources to help you. So right here, it says use these resources to help you. Just like we modeled today in the lesson, we went to Mayan and we found a book about the types of homes. You're going to do that today. So when you click on this link, it will open a Google Doc with some resources. Resources are tools that help you. It shows a list of books. Some of them we have read, some of them we haven't read yet. These books are books you can read today, explore today as you find your answers for your letter. When you scroll down on the Google Doc, there's also some videos. You may click on these videos to watch and listen to hear more details about life in the colonies. So you may click on this link as many times as you want to. And then you can say, I think I'm going to read this book called The Dish on Food and Farming in Colonial America. And then you can go look it up on Mayan. You can go to Mayan and search for the title. Say, I'm going to look for that one, The Dish. See if it pops up here. Oh, there it is, the first one. And then I can read about the type of food and farming the colonists did. Your task today is to start on slide 7, watch the video. On slide 8, brainstorm answers to the question, what are you eating? Here's a hint. This book can help you on Mayan. Our uncle wants to know, what are you eating? Then on slide 9, he asks, what are you doing to have fun? What kind of activities are the colonists doing? Here's a hint. This book can help you. Brainstorm your ideas and then show me these 2 questions. What are you eating? And what are you doing to have fun? You're going to type your sentences in your letter. If you get done, you can explore slides 11 and 12 that Mr. McKinney provided for you. When you are done today, you will push the green check and turn in your sentences in your letter, answering these 2 questions.